Welcome to AfternoonTeaV. I'm Sarah.
And I am Doug.
Okay, and we today are going to do a really special podcast because it is a week before Christmas. Yay!
I love Christmas.
So, what we're going to do today is we're actually going to talk about some movies that we saw over the past year that we would really like to receive for Christmas, or even, maybe buy for ourselves for Christmas.
Right.
Personally, my first one is Need for Speed.
Really? I still haven't seen it. I only saw that recently come out. I was like, oh! Damn, why didn't I get that for Sarah? Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed that movie. There's also a lot of mixed emotions with that movie, not only because Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad is in there. It's actually one of the last... It is actually the last movie that I saw with my ex.
Right.
So it was really poignant because, that chapter of my life ended, and there's a moment in the movie where, one chapter of Aaron Paul's life has to close and he has to move on. So I was like, relevant.
Very relevant, I would imagine.
Very, very relevant. So that movie has a lot of mixed emotions for me, but it's really, really great. There's a lot of great talent. The soundtrack's really good.
Is it like a contemporary kind of soundtrack, or is it like a lot of artists soundtrack?
It's, I believe, don't quote me, I'm pretty sure a lot of it is done by Brian Tyler, who does a lot of the Fast and Furious.
Okay.
So it's instrumental.
300
as
well. He did 300.
It's instrumental, but it's kind of contemporary instrumental, so it doesn't actually feel like a soundtrack. Like an instrumental soundtrack,
right.
It actually sounds like something that you would hear on Hot 99.5.
Almost. Like, I always remember listening to... There's one of my favorite soundtracks from 300 that Brian Tyler did, and it was like...
Yeah, I'm just going to check and see if he did that, because I'm 90% sure he did, but I just want to check. You know how I am.
Right. Well, when you check that Terminator... The first one was set in the 80s. You should have been 100% sure, because you were absolutely right. And that was in our last podcast, because I was like, going back over it, and I'm like, why did I think 70s? Sarah, you were right the entire time. I need to shut up. I'll be over here if you need me.
It's cool.
Well, yeah, Brian Tyler, getting back on point. Yeah, one of my favorites. It's called Fever Dream, and it's from 300. Okay. It sounds much more suggestive than it really is. But, honestly, though, it is really just a jacked up rock kind of soundtrack, and it's dun-dun, 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 dun, dun-dun, dun, dun, and you're just like, this is so awesome.
He has some of the best soundtracks that I've heard in a really long time. I love Brian Tyler. I also like John Williams, and I think he comes out with some really interesting soundtracks, and they're all original. Really? Nothing is... Yeah.
Really. However, I will say, when John Williams makes something, it's very original. I bought Jaws, actually.
Oh, did you?
I did. That was okay. So
because it was on yesterday, and I was like, Douglas!
Yeah, but I'm all over the map here. Basically, John Williams... we're tired.
It's been a long day, guys.
It really has. But with John Williams, he does have a lot of great music, and they are very original. But if you talk to anybody about when he did Star Wars, you could almost hear other works from older pieces come out. Like, there's Duel of the Fates that he did when The Phantom Menace came out, which is one of my favorite pieces from John Williams, has a couple of elements from another song, which I can't think of off the top of my head. And it's true, and that's not saying he's playing off of anything, but it was just,
But you could tell that was his inspiration.
Yes, inspiration, thank you. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
One of my favorite bit of work that John Williams has ever done was actually Memoirs of a Geisha.
Which I've never seen.
I loved it. I thought it was visually stunning. The story is good too. I liked the book better than the movie, but I normally do, and I think a lot of people always like the book better than they do the movie.
Right.
But with that being said, the music was so beautiful, and it told a story. You didn't even have to watch the movie. You could feel what was going on through the music, and I really appreciate that.
Right, and if you got yourself a good soundtrack, if it's telling a story on its own.
Exactly. But no, okay, so I pulled up Brian Tyler. So he's doing Avengers: Age of Ultron.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Furious 7.
Uh-huh.
He's done the music for Scorpio and Hawaii 5-0.
Okay.
He did Expendables 3. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
All right.
Into the Storm.
Oh, okay. We
Sleepy
saw
Hollow. Thor: The Dark World. I did know that. I bought Thor: The Dark World soundtrack just because Brian Tyler did it. I'm not even gonna lie. Now You See Me.
That was a fun movie.
Iron Man 3. I didn't see Now You See Me, but I really wanted to. I never got the opportunity.
Add that to your list of movies you want, right. But it's not this year.
Check. Far Cry 3, the video game. Expendables 2. Break. Columbus Circle. John Dies at the End. By the way, John Dies at the End. It's based off of a book, I believe, by the same name. I'm not sure.
Yep.
That is the weirdest movie I have ever seen in my entire life. It's kind of like Doctor Who's Pandora Opens. I still don't get it. Anyways, moving on with Brian Tyler. Terra Nova, the TV series.
Couldn't get into that show.
Need for Speed, The Run, the video game. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Final Destination 5, Fast 5, Battle Los Angeles, The Expendables, Law Abiding Citizen, The Final Destination, Middlemen, Fast and Furious, Dragon Ball Evolution, The Killing Room, The Lazarus Project, Eagle Eye, Bangkok Danger. Ooh, why did he even put his work on Bangkok Dangerous? That was a terrible movie. Rambo. Ooh. Alien versus Predator Requiem. Prettier. Aliens versus Prettier.
I'm pretty.
Exactly. Aliens versus Predator Requiem. War. Partition. Finishing the Game, The Search for a New Bruce Lee, Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift, Bug, Annapolis, Greatest Game Ever Played, Constantine, Paparazzi, Godsend, The Final
4 hours later.
Right. But I didn't see Need for Speed. Now I need to check this out. Because I didn't find it. I didn't find who did the music. Hold on. Okay, but anyways, Need for Speed definitely on my must-have for Christmas list. So, Douglas, what's one that you want?
I would like...
Oh, it was Nathan First. Nathan First did the music for Need for Speed. Well, boo.
Okay, well, this was a conversation.
But it did have a good soundtrack. But anyways, it wasn't by Brian Tyler. But I thought it was. But all right.
Well, it must be sounding very similar to his style then.
Yeah. But that was debunked, anyways.
Hey, we're allowed to be wrong on this podcast. We're not perfect.
What? Since when?
Since I said so.
Oh, all right, cool.
How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Really?
I really want that movie. Okay, funny thing is that I watched the first one. I didn't finish the first one. And I knew that the second one was coming out, and I was like, well, I know my dad would want to see it. I'll see it with him. It's no big deal. I'm pretty sure they'll make the film enough where it's a standalone. And it was. But I was so surprised on the emotion in that movie and the excitement and the inspiration. It reminded me of Madagascar 2, Escape to Africa, which had a lot of heart and genuine feelings of certain things that I loved it. I absolutely adored How to Train Your Dragon 2 in reference also. Yes, I did like Madagascar 2, but yeah, it's a movie I really want. I almost got it one weekend and I was like, wait, I have a lot of Christmas presents. I have to pass. I'm sorry. I'll treat myself later. So yeah, that's another one. Soundtrack was great.
The first one was so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first How to Train Your Dragon was so cute. I was actually really surprised at how much I liked How to Train Your Dragon.
Really?
It was so cute. It was like I needed Toothless. 'Cause he's so cute.
Oh, he's so cute. He's such a like a puppy dog.
He is.
He's like, you just want to pet him and just hug him and snuggle him.
He's so. Oh my god, he's so cute. I love Toothless.
Well, he gets even more adorable in the second one. You know, did you see the second one?
I didn't, but I really wanted to because Emma Thompson is in it. And of course, like Craig Ferguson is in it.
I think Gerard Butler did return for the father again.
Yeah, Gerard Butler. I think. Oh my goodness. Well, David Tennant was in it too. He played a background voice, and I was like, no, you need to have a bigger role. David Tennant needs a bigger role.
Just saying.
Yeah, just because he's David Tennant, he's the Doctor, for God's sake. Like, he needs a bigger role.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. No, but hey, I completely and wholeheartedly agree. There's nothing wrong with this, but you know, hey, it's not about him. Not in this movie.
I know.
It's okay. It's okay.
But I do like Jay Baruchel as well.
Yeah, he's got a very unique voice.
He does, and I was like, oh, it's that kid.
Yeah, like from Tropic Thunder, and
I was like, oh, he's the Canadian douchebag from This Is the End.
Yes, and then he's also
like, I'm the hipster. I hate LA. Are you for real? You're like the only person in the world that hates LA. I mean, I hate LA traffic, but LA's cool.
LA's traffic is about 75% of the city. There's much more to love.
Yeah, well, it's like 80% of your life in LA is spent in traffic. Anyways, moving forward.
Okay, so another movie for you?
This Is the End.
You don't have it?
I don't. I went to see it in theaters twice.
Who'd you see it with, besides with your ex? Who else did you see it with?
I actually went by myself.
Oh, okay.
I actually went by myself. I had an extra evening where I wasn't really doing anything, and I said, you know what? Let me just go see this movie again. I love this movie. It was so funny. So I went to see it again, and it was just as funny, if not funnier, than the first time I saw it. Every time it's on TV, I watch it. Craig Robinson is just... The whole time I am in stitches. And, Danny McBride, I would love to hang out with Danny McBride.
You just never a dull moment with these guys.
No, never.
You know, if there was anyone I'd love to hang out with, and I mean this only because I don't need to go into an explanation why. It's Seth Rogen. I'd love to hang out with him.
I think Seth Rogen would be so cool and down to earth.
I know. I just think he'd be just so much fun to just have lunch with and just talk about whatever, you know. And I mean,
Jonah Hill, America's Sweetheart?
Well, I was getting to that. Yeah.
But I'm Jonah Hill. I'm America's Sweetheart. Everybody loves me.
No, never really got into him.
That was actually really good. That was actually really, really good.
I feel like I just insulted him.
Whatever.
Yeah. But you know, Jonah Hill, it's on and off with me for him. You know, there's some movies that he was really funny in, and then some not.
Yeah.
But I have been in the process of watching The Wolf of Wall Street, which he's in. Which is
one of the longest movies. It's so unnecessarily long. The movie is good, but it's so long.
3 hours long.
Dude, like 3.5. Matt and I sat down to watch it.
Is this movie over yet?
I don't know.
I gotta pee.
Right. I don't know if we were like celebrating something or whatever, but we just decided to rent it, and we're sitting there and we're like, we started this movie at like 8:00. Why is it like 11:30 and this movie is not over? Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
Poor thing. I haven't finished it yet.
You're not missing much.
It's just a passion project. It really is. From Martin Scorsese, from Leonardo DiCaprio, it's a passion project.
I mean,
you see the passion on the screen.
Leonardo DiCaprio was amazing in that movie, but the movie is not great. It's good. It's good, but I've watched it once, and that's enough for an entire lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember much. I just know there's a lot of coke, sex, a lot of stockbroking, arguing, cursing, and
Coke,
more
sex,
core,
alcohol,
more.
Coke, sex, alcohol,
Repeat.
alcohol, sex, Coke, and then so forth and so forth.
Coke on the sex and sex on the Coke, but I don't see how that's physically possible.
Put my Coke on her, do Coke, have a shot, sex, more Coke.
Sex on money, literally.
Yeah.
And
oh my God, it's just ridiculous.
It's only so much that I actually, I get the point.
For real.
And is that like at one point Leonardo DiCaprio looks at the screen and goes, you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Just know that it was illegal and we had fun.
Exactly.
However, that is a movie I don't want on my Christmas list. It's good on Netflix and it's good for whenever, HBO decides to bring it on premiere, whatever.
For real. Let me think. Maleficent.
Oh,
I saw that with you.
You saw that with me. I like that movie. Just not one to own in my collection.
Really? I thought it was so cute. And
it was so sweet. It's such a sweet movie.
And it's so different. And I definitely, even though I'm not Angelina Jolie's biggest fan, I thought she was so good in that role, and I don't think anybody else could have played that role at all.
You will never get me to waver in that opinion at all. I think Angelina Jolie was perfect. Like,
I think Elle Fanning could have been recast.
Yes, she's really good. Like, have you ever seen her in Super 8?
She's a great actress.
Yes.
I just didn't think she was great for that role.
No.
But that's my that's my personal opinion. I know some people who thought that she's just the bee's knees in that movie. She wasn't my favorite in that one, but that doesn't mean that I haven't seen other, like Super 8. I loved Super 8.
Really?
And I thought, yes.
Cool.
I loved Super 8. I thought that was great.
I thought the alien looked absolutely badass. Like, his facial feature, he looked like,
Well, thank you, J.J. Abrams.
I know, right? Woo!
That's one for my Christmas list, too. Super 8.
Super 8. Actually, I got that one as a gift for Jim, so we technically have it. It's just not in my collection.
It's not your collection. Gotcha.
It's not my collection. God, when you ask about these movies, it's like, oh yeah, I know a few. Now you're asking, man. It's now being recorded. Now I don't know. Don't look at me. Yeah. But let's see. As I said before, I thought the alien looked absolutely badass.
Yes.
I thought he just... I don't know. I don't know how to describe what he looked like to me. He just really...
He looks like a real alien that, like, if I were to see an alien, that's kind of what I could picture.
Pretty much.
I could picture that. It was realistic to me.
Absolutely.
But I thought Elle Fanning was great in that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was great in that. I just didn't think she was that great in Maleficent. But that's not to say that took away from the movie or it made me enjoy it less. It didn't.
Right.
I just would have picked someone else. I don't know who.
Right.
But I would have picked somebody else. Just like another movie that I really wanted in my collection, Godzilla.
You know what? You're bringing some memories back because I
saw that with you too.
You saw that with me too. I appreciate that movie.
I do too.
It's not my favorite.
No.
But it's such a well-made movie.
It took Godzilla seriously. It wasn't cheesy and it wasn't trying to make it over the top. Like the Godzilla that they had in 1998 where like you have all the little baby Godzillas and they're taking over.
Which we will never mention again.
Exactly. Although poor Matthew Broderick.
Poor guy.
He got stuck with the role of being in that movie. But anyways, I'm sure they thought it was going to go somewhere and they could turn it into a franchise, but it just didn't.
It just didn't.
But I do like how they made it very, very serious. There was a lot more of a human element to Godzilla, which I really appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the story of Bryan Cranston and Aaron Taylor Johnson, and one of my biggest complaints is that you have an amazing actress in Sally Hawkins. I love Sally Hawkins, who played
the wife, or
no, the wife was Juliette Binoche.
Okay.
Who was in Chocolat with Johnny Depp and Dame Judi Dench. Let's not try that one.
Love Judi Dench.
Yes. No, Sally Hawkins was the assistant to, oh my God. He was the Asian guy. What's his name?
But from what?
From Godzilla.
Ken Watanabe.
Yes.
Yes.
I could not think of his name. I was like, starts with a W.
Watanabe.
And I was like, wasabi, Watanabe. I don't remember. I can't think right now. No, Sally Hawkins was the assistant to Ken Watanabe. And with the big teeth. She had the big teeth.
Okay. Maybe I'm okay. Keep going.
Anyways, she is an amazing actress, and I have seen pretty much everything that she's ever done. And I thought that she was so underused in that movie. I was very disappointed at how she was underused.
Maybe if I saw a face, because I'm really good with faces.
I'm pulling it up now. Don't worry about
names. Yeah. I got a movie that I would really want a part of my collection. I don't know if you heard about it.
Okay.
It probably won't come out until next year.
Okay.
But it's called The Babadook.
No, haven't heard of it.
It is, it only just recently came out. I got a chance to see it online. However, okay, she just showed me a picture of
Sally Hawkins.
What, and she was in Godzilla?
Yeah, she played Ken Watanabe's assistant.
Okay. Yeah, no, I didn't recognize her at all. And I'm still having a rough time trying to place her too, so I'm sorry about that. But for The Babadook, that was such a weirdly interesting and amazing film, and it was a horror. Mm-hmm. And it's based a concept over like one of those children's books that go deep into your mind and kind of give you nightmares when, you know, a children's book should never do such a thing. Mm-hmm. You know, it was such a wonderful movie and a take on grief, and wonderful and grief should never come into the same sentence, but, you know, it's one of those movies that take a very careful look at the way grieving happens, the way you cope with things, when you're stuck with something that you never wanted to be stuck with, because it follows a mother and her child, mm-hmm. and they live on their own, mm-hmm. and mom's trying to make ends meet, mm-hmm. and the kid is absolutely obnoxious, and rightfully so. It's the kid is just only acting out because he doesn't have the male figure, but it's so frustrating because you're just put in this world with them, and you're like, oh my God, this kid needs to just be tranquilized. So anyway, long story short, I really want to have The Babadook because it was just such a great horror film.
Okay, so another movie that I would personally like to have in my collection is Horns. With Daniel Radcliffe. It is based off the book by Joe Hill.
Okay.
Joe Hill is actually one of my favorite writers. I've told you before, he is mm-hmm. Stephen King's son.
Yes.
I think he's an even better writer than Stephen King. I actually relate a lot more to what he writes.
I would imagine Joe Hill could be a much better writer because he's a lot more straightforward.
He is a lot more straightforward, but I feel like he understands a little bit more of his audience. And that's... Wait, no, maybe I didn't mean to say it exactly that way, because I think Stephen King understands his audience. I think that they have different audiences.
Yes.
I think that Stephen King has a very loyal following, and I think his followers are a little bit more older mm-hmm. than we are. Whereas Joe Hill puts a lot of pop culture references in what he writes. So I think he's speaking to a much younger audience, and that makes sense because I think he's in his like late 30s, maybe like to 40s. So I think he's trying to pander to a much younger audience so then he can have the same kind of loyal following as his father. Now, I loved the book Horns. I thought it was very well written. It's basically about a young man named Ig Parrish, and he has this girlfriend that he loves more than anything else in the world, and she is murdered, and Ig cannot remember what happened that night because he gets blind drunk. He and Marin had an argument, and she broke up with him, and he got blind drunk and passed out, and the next morning they found her murdered. So everyone in town thinks that he did it, and one morning after the anniversary, the 1 year anniversary, I think it's just the 1 year anniversary of his girlfriend's death, he wakes up in the morning and he discovers horns growing out of his head. And those horns actually inspire people to tell him like their deepest, darkest secrets. So he actually learns a lot about the people around him and about himself as well. And I just thought it was a really interesting story. And I didn't actually get to see the movie because it was a very small...
limited release.
Correct. It was a limited release. But because I loved the book so much, I definitely think it would be worth having in my collection.
I saw the trailer.
I did too.
And It was very interesting. You added a little bit more context to what I saw in the trailer. I knew that he didn't remember a thing about where he was or what was going on when his girlfriend had passed. The horns come up out of nowhere. It garners a whole bunch of attention from not just people in the public, but also the press.
Yes.
And what made it so funny, especially towards the end, Daniel Radcliffe, who's playing this character, turns around and he goes, "I will give anyone an exclusive interview if they're the last person standing," or something like that rather than another. He said it a lot more humorously than the way I did. And, but the best part was the two reporters that were closer to him just looked at each other, and the guy just decks the girl in the face, and I was just like, I think I need to see this movie.
Yes.
So,
very much, yes.
I would think I'd be highly entertained by it. And Daniel Radcliffe, he's really coming onto his own.
Yes.
He's just not stuck as the Harry Potter boy.
Exactly.
That's what I really like about him. And I saw a couple of snippets of him on the Graham Norton show.
Yes.
He is so talkative and so down to earth.
He's so funny.
He really is funny. He seems like a nice guy. Another person I'd love to have lunch with.
Yes. I loved Daniel Radcliffe in The Woman in Black.
I did too.
I think that was a very serious role for him. Not that Harry Potter wasn't serious, but it was more of a kid-ish,
like coming of age.
Yeah, a coming of age serious.
It was kid, then became coming of age, then an adult fiction.
Whereas, yeah, exactly. And The Woman in Black, he has his own wife and child.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, wait, you're my age. Like, this is not cool. Like, you no, if I don't have kids, you can't have kids.
Don't do this to me. Reality check.
Oh, it was such a stab in the gut. But I thought it was a very great film, and I truly cannot wait to see Horns and own it in my own personal collection. Another movie that I would really like to have, just because it was absolutely hysterical, was Let's Be Cops.
Okay, never saw it.
It was so funny. And I thought that it was going to be one of those typical comedies where they show you all the funniest bits in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
No. The entire movie was absolutely hysterical. I think... Oh, he's probably going to be mad at me. I think Matt and I went to see that together. I can't remember.
Does he listen to these podcasts?
Yes.
I'm slightly intimidated now.
Oh! So...
Well, let's move on so you don't get hurt for this.
Right. No, I'm 90% sure that Matt and I went to go see that together, and that Natalie and I went to go see A Million Ways to Die in the West.
That might sound true because I know you were saying how you finally saw it, but you never mentioned Matt. You mentioned Natalie. All right, well, since we're now on the topic of comedy, this movie I'm wanting is not necessarily a comedy, but it's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Gotcha, yeah.
I really, really want that movie in my collection, though, because at first I was like, yeah, it's good. It wasn't particularly like, oh my god, I have to have this movie.
Right.
But the more I keep thinking about it, the more I kind of like the movie. And then suddenly I'm thinking about it again. I really, really like that movie. I love this movie, you know, because I don't know, it had such a unique style to it and a different look that I don't know. It was a part of the Marvel universe, but it almost didn't feel like it. And I liked that.
I liked Guardians of the Galaxy. Mm-hmm. It definitely was not my favorite. Mm-hmm. I definitely liked it better than the Iron Mans. I know it's so bad, but I really...
You're not alone in this.
I have not liked any Iron Man movie.
I liked the first one.
Nope.
I enjoyed the second one.
Nope.
Did not care for the third one.
No. I haven't liked any of the Iron Man movies. I love Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, as Tony Stark.
Yes.
But I have not liked any of the Iron Man movies. I don't like any of them. Not a single one. In fact, the third one, I hated it.
Really?
I hated it because I was like, why is Gwyneth Paltrow even in this movie?
Don't you think she should have been, like, gone 2 movies ago?
She shouldn't have even been in it to begin with.
Well, yes, but that's on your side. Me, I haven't really felt that way, but I understand where you're coming from. It's a
personal thing.
It's a personal thing.
I personally just don't like her. I just don't get the fascination with her.
I did have a small crush on her for a moment.
I loved her in Emma.
I liked her in Shakespeare in Love.
Oh yeah, I liked her in that one too.
That was pretty good.
It was more because the movie was just fantastic.
Yeah.
It definitely deserved an Academy Award.
Oh, absolutely.
It deserved all the awards.
All the feels, too.
All the feels, all the awards. That movie taught me what love really was.
Yeah, and you know, it's just a well-made movie to boot.
Correct.
So, yes, I think we're on the same page where it's like Gwyneth Paltrow? No. Does she make good movies? Sometimes.
Yeah. It's a hit or miss, but
yeah, it's kind of like with me and Jonah Hill. You know, nothing against
it's a
him.
Hit and miss. But
hit and miss.
I love Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. I just don't like any of the Iron Man movies. But I will say, I see on your list, Doug's got a list here so he doesn't forget his talking points.
Yes.
Which is good. Go you. I see Thor, The Dark World.
I don't have it.
I love that movie.
I know you do.
I love that movie. I know
you do.
I pre-ordered that movie.
You were like, hang on, let me call the company and see if I can get a pre-release.
Yeah, I was like, can I get this any sooner? Like, is there any way that this can be on my doorstep at midnight? Because I'm going to need this movie.
8 o'clock is fine, too.
Yeah, 8 o'clock is fine, but like, I'm going to need this at midnight on my doorstep.
Absolutely, yeah.
I needed it. Like, I cannot go on living without this movie.
You know, and it's, again, like Guardians of the Galaxy for me. Thor 2 was like, the more I think about it, the more I started to like it. Because I kind of look at the phases of these movies as, like, a progression, like sequels, but they're not really sequels. They technically are sequels, but not to each other. Except for their own title and such franchise. But what I mean is that when after Avengers, which was phenomenal to me, I love Avengers, he came out with Iron Man 3. Not a great start to the phase. Mm-hmm. I just did not care for it. Thor 2, much better. Me likey. Okay, now we're talking. Suddenly, they hit me with a sledgehammer, and they gave me Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and I'm like, you send me off. I am with you. I am on board. Thank you very much. And I love the Winter Soldier. That movie, it could have all my money for all I care, honestly. And then Guardians was like, okay, you guys you're keeping it on good level here. We're good. Now I'm just waiting for, Avengers 2, and that's it. And so, going back, Thor 2, I want a part of my collection. I can wait for Iron Man 3. I don't have it yet.
I have the first 2 Iron Man movies. Mm-hmm. But the only reason why I have them is because they're a part of my parents' collection, but because my parents don't watch them, I've adopted them into my collection. And that's what happens with 90% of the movies my parents get. It's like, oh, you didn't watch it? Okay, I'll adopt it. It needs to be watched, so I will adopt it.
Yeah, I always look at these things with personalities and feelings.
Exactly. They're my babies.
Yes.
And no one has bought my parents' Iron Man 3, thank God, because I would not adopt it into my collection.
No. It's such an oddball movie.
I did like Captain America: The Winter Soldier. There were bits and pieces of it that I thought could have been much better. Mm-hmm. I like that they tried to bring in S.H.I.E.L.D. into that, and Hydra and all that other...
It was such a great twist in that story for me.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I feel like they tried to put too much.
Or maybe it was just too abrasive in the moment of the series of movies that came out. Suddenly, big twist, big moments here. Oh my God, like I wasn't expecting this.
It was a succession of really big moments. I feel like maybe they tried to put too many things in at one time. Maybe if they had focused on just bringing Bucky in.
Spoilers.
Well, if they haven't seen it by now, I mean, good Lord.
I know.
It's almost been out for a year, people. Come on. If they had focused on the Winter Soldier and not the Winter Soldier and the Hydra shift and the whole re-examining the council and all that other stuff, like, and Nick Fury's all attempted assassination. Like, if they hadn't done all of that at one time, I feel like it would have been okay. But I feel like they tried to do way too much in one movie. Especially because the movie wasn't even long enough, I feel like, to really cover every single thing that they were trying to do.
Right. Any of the concepts that they wanted to try was told in exposition by a supercomputer.
Yeah, I just wanted them to focus on one or two things instead of 5 and 6. So that was my thing. It doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy it. I truly did, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. No, and what it's so much more than a story. Although I'm all about story for movies like this, and even all these movies that we've been talking about, they hit all the right marks for me. And music, timing of said music. The drama, even the melodrama. Sometimes melodrama is okay, but though that is a very fine line. Very fine line. The Hobbit, the third one, had so much melodrama. I really just wanted to...
Okay, well, don't say anything because I haven't seen it.
No, and that's not a negative review, just so you guys know.
No, it's not. I just haven't seen it, so don't say anything.
However... It's such a big thing for me to see all these little elements come together and give you this wonderful experience. And that's what, so far, everything that I've mentioned has done that. And another one I would say a part of my list is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Now, I know you're not a fan.
I'm not. Basically, I haven't really watched all of the new series all of the way through. Mm-hmm. I've watched basically the highlights and bits and pieces.
Kind of like with you in Star Wars.
Yeah, kind of like with me in Star Wars. But I felt very complete by the original series. Mm-hmm. I really didn't need to know the backstory.
Right.
So I just felt like, to me, it was a little unnecessary. Does that mean that it wouldn't be enjoyable to watch? No. It just was not for me. I was just like with the Hunger Games. I was very satisfied by the first book,
right,
and even kind of the first movie, even though little things could have been different. But absolutely. I was very satisfied by the first Hunger Games. I really didn't need to know what happened after that, and I felt like the other two books, and even the other two movies, are just really unnecessary. No, I didn't see the need to have them.
I totally understand. Totally. I read the first book.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm okay with where I've read. I've heard so many different things about the second and third book that it's like, it may not even be worth it to me to actually read them just now. Not going to rush to the bookstore right now and go get them because it is such a great journey. No, the journey happened in the first one, and it's fine. It's settled for me. But the reason why Dawn of the Planet of the Apes really works for me is just, like, I hate it when people just say, oh, this movie's so well shot. Like, what does that even mean?
Right.
What does well shot mean? Well, I could tell you that there are certain moments in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which I'm just going to say Dawn Apes from now on. It had so many great tracking shots where there was, like, no cuts, and you're just allowed to feel the chaos or the moments in such movies or in this movie in particular, where you didn't have to have 14 different cuts to give you one specific emotion. You know, someone's running down the hallway and the camera doesn't cut, and he's dodging apes left and right, and, you know, luckily no one's seeing him until the very end, where a certain character that was an ape sees him, and it was like, okay, you're making it, you're getting it, okay, you might get out of here. Uh-oh. You're in trouble. You know, and it comes to that, but it was like, no, it was just such a straightforward shot, and I like that. And then another one, a tank goes out of control, and, you know, the apes take over it, and they just leave it be, and the top of the tank just keeps moving, and the camera does not cut for, like, the longest time, so you get to see, like, a 380 angle of everything happening around it.
Right.
That was such a great shot to me. So I'm not big in saying, oh, it's such a well-shot movie, well-made. It's just a matter of those moments added enough dramatic tension for me that brought me into their world. And that's what I really enjoyed. It allowed me to really get into their world. And that's it.
One of the movies, talking about being included in the world and immersive, one of the movies that I really want for Christmas that I saw with you is Into the Storm.
Oh, yeah?
And I felt that way, too. I felt like I was a part of the situation that they were going through. For anyone who hasn't seen it, it's basically like Twister on steroids.
Yes, with several different cameras, you know, capturing everything. And
it's very documentary style. I really enjoyed that movie. I felt like I was a part of the situation. The tension that they were going through, the fear that they were going through, I felt was very real and very genuine. And I liked that. I appreciated that. Now, some of the actual, like, tornadoes I thought were done, it was a little goofy.
Yeah.
I've talked to you about this before. I'm no meteorologist. I don't really know everything about environmental science. I do remember being taught about twisters. But a twister is basically a vortex, so it's gonna suck everything up. Now, they were in, what, like Oklahoma or like
something
Nebraska?
Like that. There's a lot of countryside.
Yeah, they were in Middle America, and I thought that because it was grassland that the tornadoes would have had much more of like a brown color because they were sucking up all that dirt and grass and stuff.
You feel like you wouldn't be able to see anything.
Yeah, I felt like the tornado shouldn't have been gray, the color of the clouds. I felt like it should have been very brown, the color of dirt, like you see in Twister.
It's kicking up that dirt, so why would it be black unless, you know?
Well, it was like a white gray. It was like a grayish white color. It wasn't a black or anything like that.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. I'm starting to follow more on what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, not that I thought that for being 1996, Twister did one heck of a job with special effects.
Well, which is one of your favorite movies.
It is one of my favorite movies of all time. I know every single line. But moving on. Because it's kicking up all that dirt, because it's sucking it up, I thought that the tornado would have been brown or like a brownish color, but it wasn't, and I was really disappointed by that. And that may sound a little silly, but I mean,
it's a little nitpicky.
It's a little nitpicky, but I feel like if the entire center of this movie is about tornadoes, you should get one of those, details. That's what I'm trying to say.
Have an advisor to tell you, no, if the ground is going to be chalked up, you're going to need to, it's going to have to take in what it's chalking up.
Correct. You would think that those details would have been ironed out.
Right.
And I didn't feel that way. I felt like it was a little goofy. Plus, now, if someone wants to do a response on this, please feel free to do so, because maybe you will know more about this than me. Not that that would surprise me, because I don't know enough about science and tornadoes and stuff. There was one tornado, I know you'll remember exactly what I'm talking about, that picks up the planes.
Yeah,
now
that was like a tsunami almost.
Well, tsunami is water.
Right. Well, when I say, okay, I'm sorry. When I say tsunami, it's like, I feel like that's the biggest
tsunami proportions.
It's like, I think of a tsunami like, that is the biggest a storm, a tornado, or a hurricane could get. That's how I feel. I know that's completely inaccurate, and if that's water, well, it is water.
Yeah.
I learn something new every day. How do I not know that? I'm an idiot. Sorry.
No, you're not an idiot. It's okay. But I felt like this one tornado, it was big.
It was huge.
I would have said like an F4,
okay.
F4, F5.
Category, yeah.
Based on the Fujita scale, which calculates how much it eats. So by how much it eats, how much it destroys, that's how you calculate how big it is. Now, this was probably like F4, F5. I would say more F5 if it's going to be picking up planes.
Airplanes and making them move a couple of miles.
But these are like jumbo jet liners that this thing is picking up, and it's picking them a couple 100 feet off the ground at least, and just picking them up like it's nothing. I think a tornado could do such a thing if it had enough wind velocity. How much wind velocity would you need to have to make that happen? Because you have to think, like, planes go a couple 100 miles an hour when they're in the air.
Yeah.
How fast does a tornado need to be going to pick up these jet liners and pick them up, like, at least, like...
so high and so far. Like, I would say at least they were chucked across a mile from where they originally were.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And that's a heck of a storm that can do that.
I don't think a building would be even around either.
No.
I don't think so.
But, again, I know that the movie was done for entertainment value and not for scientific value. But I just like accuracy.
Yeah, and I think we all do.
I appreciate a little bit of accuracy.
When we all critique films, there's a level of realism that we really want from that film, no matter how far-fetched it is. It's like, I really liked Into the Storm, but that stuff just, no.
There's that one moment that I just really didn't appreciate.
Speaking of that one moment, which I could actually say on the opposite, I did appreciate, was those characters that had a problem, the kids that had a problem with their dad and how distant he was. He was more focused on work. He was really, he had his own agenda, his own thing, and the kids were like, Dad.
We want you to be a part of our life.
Right. And there was that one scene where the two kids were trapped under the facility.
And they had to say goodbye.
Yes, they had to say goodbye. And
I was in the biggest glass case of emotion that I've ever felt in my entire life.
I think I felt my heart in my throat.
Okay, again, this movie was not that awesome. It was not Academy Award worthy, but that scene was so genuine.
That was a highlight.
It was so genuine. It was so real. These kids, this boy, this girl, I know I've got chills thinking about it.
Yeah, say it like...
I know. This boy, this girl, they are saying goodbye to their families, and it is so heartbreaking because you really do feel like, okay, this is it. I am saying goodbye to you. I will never see you again.
Didn't you feel the same way in 128 Hours? Didn't you say you felt
127 hours.
127 hours, sorry. 28. Yes. Added up one more hour to the poor man's life.
To the poor man's struggle. Because he survived.
Yes, but that one particular thing. Anyway, yeah. Didn't you feel the same way?
I did kind of feel the same way. For everyone who did not see 127 Hours, that is the based on a true story movie where James Franco goes out hiking and he gets his arm caught in between a boulder and a rock face, and he is stuck there for 127 hours until he quite literally cuts his own arm off
with a dull pocket knife.
With a dull pocket knife, and escapes this gorge and gets himself some help. He finds safety, and there's a moment right before he cuts his own arm off where he's got his camera and he's basically telling his parents and everyone else that he knows, like, I'm sorry if I haven't called, and I love you, and I'm sorry if I haven't always been there. I never meant for it to be that way, but I appreciate you. I'm getting, like, emotional thinking about it.
Right.
But not that I think James Franco is the best actor in the world, but I really did feel like he was going through some stuff.
He was going through some stuff
when he was recording that, because that was a little too genuine, honestly.
You're like, what is this doing in this movie?
Well, I feel like maybe he really was talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't, what was actually going on in the film, but I feel like he was actually trying to talk to somebody and being like, listen, I really am sorry. Like, I've had an epiphany, and I really am sorry.
Not that I can really get into it. I would love to, but I had one of those moments where I got really emotional. In fact, I'm going to be honest, it sent me in buckets one night, and it was in Fringe, actually. Last night I watched this episode called Peter.
I saw your Facebook status.
About that. The thing is that I can't get into all the details, but Walter Bishop was trying to save his son. He was conducting a device, if I can speak straight, on how to get to the other world, the parallel world. So he goes to this lake. He's putting it all together. He's got a coworker and some advisor come down who was very close to him and started trying to advise him against it. Don't do it. What would your partner say? And it's like, well, my partner's not here. He's the one that always told me to go out and grab these things that we dreamed of. And now I have a reason to go to this nether world, so just let me do it. And he's prevented, but yet he actually... Well, I shouldn't say prevented because he actually goes through. He's not without a small price. And he had this cure for his son in his pocket, his breast pocket. And when the first time that he was prevented, he falls to the ground, and he gets back up, he goes to the other world, and when he goes to do some self-checking, he picks up the vial, and he looks at it, and it's broken. The vial had leaked onto his shirt, and by the right composition to music, and his performance just sent me in like spirals, and all he did was just look at it and he goes, no, and he clutches it, he turns around and he runs across the lake, and he goes to where his home is. I don't know, I could not tell you what happened. I was a goner, and I was like, oh man. So yes, it has those moments where you just it just hits you.
Some real genuine stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't speak. I can't describe things well.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I'm trying to think of another movie that I really, really would like to receive for Christmas.
I have a few more.
Okay, what's one of yours?
Fury. That was a World War II movie.
Oh, with Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf and...
The Cannibal.
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, man. You showed me that video. I can't remember anything from that, but that was just crazy. That was a crazy video.
That was the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. The Cannibal. Shia LaBeouf. You're running for your life from Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, my God. Who else is in it? The guy who plays Shane from Walking Dead's in it.
What is his name?
Well, you're faster at looking it up than I am because my phone's slow. But
I can't. John Barenthal.
Barenthal, yes.
John Barenthal.
Yes. He's in it. and a couple other people that I can't remember their names at the top of my head.
Let me see.
That movie is brutal.
I didn't get to see it because you see all these movies.
Well,
and
I would say you see more than me because honestly, there are times where I go through a dry spell.
Okay,
and
well,
no movies I see.
You see more current movies. I see like foreign films that no one's ever heard of.
Give me your life, please. You know. That movie was not kind. It was not. Oh, hey, it's Saving Private Ryan. I mean, Saving Private Ryan was brutal.
But it's good.
It's good.
Oh,
and
Logan Lerman.
Okay.
Wasn't he in Peter Jackson? Or Percy Jackson.
Yes.
Logan Lerman's
Peter Jackson.
Peter Percy, whatever. There's a
You're
Jackson.
starting to make me feel better for not being able to describe this scene.
Shut up. Logan Lerman plays Percy Jackson.
Yes.
Because I was like, ooh, I recognize those baby blues. Okay, so it's Brad Pitt, Shia LaBeouf, the cannibal, Logan Lerman, Michael Pena.
Yes, there
John
you go.
Bernthal, Jim Perrick, that we know from True Blood, Brad William Hank. God, I can't remember what I remember him from. Kevin Vance.
Is Jason Isaacs in it?
Yes, I was actually about to get there. Xavier Samuel, Jason Isaacs, Anna Maria Marinka, Alicia von Rittberg, Scott Eastwood, Lawrence Spellman, Adam Gann, Daniel Betts, Eric Kofi Abrefa. Ooh, he has a nice nose, a nice profile. O.C.
Moving on.
O.C. Akarafor. Matt's gonna be like, I'm sorry, who was that guy? Like, never mind.
Don't worry about it.
I know. John McMillan, Saul Barrett, Merrick Oravec, Kyle Soller, Jake Curran.
Okay. Well, I would definitely say everyone who was a part of that project.
So, like, pretty much anyone who's anyone in Hollywood was in this one.
But it wasn't them. Like, even Brad Pitt didn't feel like Lieutenant Aldo Rain from Inglourious Bastards.
I speak Italian, buongiorno.
Si, correcto. You know, that... Like, there were moments where you're like, I saw Brad Pitt, definitely. That was all of Brad Pitt. But then there are moments where you kind of forgot you were watching actors. There was really a moment for me where the war was so brutal, I felt like this was a legitimate movie from World War II.
Well, wasn't this pretty much a passion project for Brad Pitt? Like, this was...
I don't know for sure.
I feel like it was kind of his baby. Like, he was trying to make this happen. Kind of like Angelina Jolie did Unbroken, the movie that's coming out Christmas Day.
Yeah.
One of the movies that is coming out on Christmas Day. Screw Sony for not putting out the interview. Which I promise, I'll get back to Fury and I'll let you tell me all about that. Let me just tell you, I had a Facebook friend of mine who was like, the interview's premise is absolutely absurd, and they're talking about killing an actual live leader. What if someone did that for the President of the United States? I was like, well, if someone shot the President of the United States in a movie, it's a freaking movie. Like, it's a movie. Like, get over it. It's a movie. And I'm not even just saying that because it's Obama. Like, I'm saying even if it was George Bush or Bill Clinton, it's a movie. They killed Saddam Hussein in Hot Shots Part 2.
And then they actually did. Well, no, sorry, that's Saddam Hussein. He was hanged. Osama bin Laden actually did get killed in Zero Dark 30. I mean, but that's not a parody.
It's not a parody, but, like, he was an actual live person, like, and they killed him, and, like, that was the story of how they actually killed this person. But you didn't see all this backlash, but now, just because it's North Korea, and North Korea is threatening to bomb, dude, what the hell is North Korea gonna really do? All we have to do is show up with one bomb, and they're screwed. We need to show up with one bomb, and they are screwed. Their entire country would fall to pieces in 1 second.
Well,
I think we should just nuke North Korea and get it over with, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, and luckily we're not of any high importance that they're going to be sending up any roadblocks anytime soon. But I would definitely... but I definitely feel like this... Here's my simple thought to all of this. We are all up in arms. North Korea is all up in arms over a movie.
It's a joke. It's a movie. And, like...
You don't have a sense of humor then. You don't have a sense of humor then if you're going to get so upset over something like this.
And let's be honest, people in North Korea can't even see this movie, so I don't know why Kim Jong-un is upset about it.
I don't know.
And it's like if someone is making a movie about killing you, like, what are you doing with your life that people are trying to make a movie about killing you?
Right. Well, I mean, I don't think they'd make a movie about killing Douglas Beamer, you know? They'd be like, who?
Exactly.
Well, what did he do to you?
Exactly. But anyways, that's enough about that. Back to Fury and the real moment.
You know, what was the quote that he said? Brad Pitt said it, and it really defined the whole movie, and probably defines this conversation, really. You know, it was...
best job I ever had.
Yeah, best job I ever had. You know, history is something, something like war is violent, history is something else, or history is something and war is violent.
Hold on, let me IMDb the quote.
But it really captured the look and the feel of this movie, and it really is true. Like, history is one thing, war is another. And war is unkind. It's absolutely unkind, since we're being threatened like this as well.
Absolutely.
It's a very unkind topic to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's going to become history. I mean, how awesome is this? We get to say this in history books. A movie had to go down because it would have provoked World War III.
Ideals are peaceful. History is violent.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Ideals are peaceful. History is violent. And it's the history is violent that really comes out to me. And that was very, very crucial for that movie as well, because it's like, this is the justification on why this movie is not recommendable for just your average moviegoer. This is someone who really wants to see something realistic. You know, so anyway, that was one movie I think I'd really like. It actually ended up giving me a headache afterwards, because it was like, oh my god, this movie was so intense. Oh, I need to go, like, cool off, watch My Little Pony or something. I don't even watch My Little Pony.
So I'm looking up Fury on IMDb, because apparently that's what I am delegated to during this podcast.
Yeah, well, you've been picking up your phone non-stop and looking up this stuff, so it really works.
Yeah, it does.
You're faster than me, though. That's the thing. You're waiting like 10 minutes for me to pick up just the first screen page.
No, you're good. So I'm looking at some of the trivia here, and it says Fury marks the first time a genuine Tiger I tank has been used in the production of a World War II film. Fury features Tiger 131 from the UK's Bovington Tank Museum, the only functioning Tiger tank in the world. It also says many of the outfits in the film were based on real exhibits acquired from museums around the world.
That says a lot.
Yeah, Shia LaBeouf reportedly pulled out his own tooth and did not shower during filming.
He's mentioned that.
The cast underwent a rigorous month-long course of boot camp in which the final test was manning a real tank during a combat exercise. Despite being considerably older than his castmates, Brad Pitt made sure that he participated in all of the physical training.
See, that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
It really is.
So...
Is it a movie you'd like to see?
Oh, I wanted to see it so bad. My parents went to see it, but I never got to do it. So let's see. So at age 50, Brad Pitt is much older than the average non-commissioned officer in World War II, who would likely be in his early to mid-20s, so he'd be around our age, in real life, if he had been an officer he would have been around our age, 24 to 26.
Mm-hmm.
Considering his age, choice of sidearm, and long service record mentioned in the film, it's entirely possible that his character is also a World War I veteran. This may explain why his character knew the German language before World War II started, as stated in the beginning of the movie. Good Lord.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So that's some of the
fun facts, theoretical stuff.
They have a lot of goofs in the movie too.
Oh, I'm sure.
So,
well, we can't get into that.
No. But I'm just saying, I'm looking at these goofs too, and I'm like, whoa, hello, that's a lot.
Speaking of goofs,
yes.
I have another movie, and it is a movie I don't know if you wanted to see, but when I saw it,
okay,
it's such a silly movie. Lucy.
I thought the premise was a little interesting, but I don't know if it's going to be a little too crazy, because I saw Limitless with Bradley Cooper, where he takes the brain pill.
And I love that movie.
It was interesting, and it was different, and I was like, wait, hold on, like, what's going on here with all of these, like, pills, and it increases your brain power? I would have been interested to see Lucy mainly for the special effects and how they explained her mental capacity and how she was changing.
In a way they do.
Yeah, and I would have been interested to see that, but in general, it's not the kind of movie that I would go see.
Right. I had a lot of fun with it. It was still such a crazy, kooky movie. It was almost like a Black Widow prequel.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was like, now the sequel's just got to show us what happened in Budapest!
Oh my god, everyone needs to know what happened in Budapest.
But, quick and sweet to the point with Lucy. As I said, fun-filled all the way through. If you wanted to compare it to Limitless, Lucy is the more action-packed version of, the human condition and how things go down when people really need what she's got. With Limitless, it was kind of the same way, only exploiting that knowledge and making yourself better and making other things that you did better and, stuff like that. And that's what I loved about Limitless. But Lucy just kind of does a totally different take. And it was fun. Absolutely enjoyed it. And I think it's already out. But,
It might be. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I definitely would like to add that to my collection and pop it in one day when I'm bored and be like, this movie. You have anything else?
I'm trying to... Blue Jasmine.
What is that about?
It's a Woody Allen film. It's actually the only Woody Allen film that I have ever watched that I can actually understand. Mm. And I say that a lot of people are going to be like, really? Yeah, because a lot of times Woody Allen films are actually talking about when you're actually at a certain point in your life. Mm-hmm. I'm only 24. I haven't really experienced a lot of things in life. Like, I've experienced loss, like personal loss, losing people in my life. But, I'm not, like, I've never been married. I've never been divorced. I don't have kids. Like, certain fixed points in your life, that I've never experienced. I haven't had a quarter life crisis. I haven't had a midlife crisis. All of these things, I'm not close to retirement age. A lot of older, more mature themes that Woody Allen actually talks about in some of his other films that I didn't necessarily understand just because I'm not at that point in my life.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that the movies aren't enjoyable. I'm just not at that point, so it doesn't really resonate with me. Mm-hmm. Well, Blue Jasmine really did resonate with me. Basically, Cate Blanchett is married to Alec Baldwin, and they get divorced. Turns out that Alec Baldwin cheated everyone he knew out of millions of dollars. And because of the fact that Alec Baldwin lied and cheated people out of money, Cate Blanchett has actually started to lose her mind. She doesn't have any money. She doesn't have anywhere to live. She was adopted, and she was the favorite child. And so she asks her sister if she can live with her for a while. And her sister lives very modestly with her boyfriend who's a mechanic, and Cate Blanchett's got on her Chanel necklaces and her Louis Vuitton matching bags and all this other kind of stuff, and she goes, "Oh, darling, I'm flat broke. Who do I have to hump to get a martini in here with a twist of lemon? A vodka martini, twist of lemon." And she just, "Oh, darling, I'm flat broke, I'm flat broke. I gave the cab driver $100, but I'm flat broke, I tell you." And you can just see this warped mentality. She doesn't even understand that she is devolving.
Right. She doesn't realize what's happening to her.
She doesn't realize, and she has completely lost everything, and she was so used to being the favorite and being on top of everything and having the best, and now she's at the bottom and she just can't cope. And I feel like we all go through that moment where we think, oh, we're on top of the world, everything's great, we've got, the best boyfriend or girlfriend in the world, and everything's going right for us, and then it can come crashing down in just one quick second.
Which is a lot how life works.
Yes.
Build takes 10 years to build and 1 second to destroy.
It really does. So it's really, really hard.
Well, first off, when it comes to Woody Allen movies, I haven't seen many. In fact, I only saw one, and I don't even remember it all that much. It was Small Time Crooks. Mm-hmm. They were trying to rob a bank while having a front of a cookie shop, or something like that. And funny movie, great stuff. It was very intellectual, that kind of stuff. I saw it with my dad, and that was it. That's it. I hadn't, I kept hearing about Woody Allen films, but I feel like, and I can't compare Woody Allen to anybody because he's such a unique director and a writer, to where I can't say, oh, he's like Quentin Tarantino, but in terms of taste, he's like someone I really have to be in the mood for.
Yeah.
For me. And so when I heard about Blue Jasmine, I only heard of, say, the name. Never really knew much about the concept other than right now. So it seems like a good movie, though.
It definitely is. It's one of my top 5 underrated movies, because even though it was nominated for Academy Award and Cate Blanchett won, I believe she won the Academy Award for that one, and I think that was the year that Sally Hawkins was up against Lupita Nyong'o for 12 Years a Slave.
Okay, that's a movie I'd really like to see.
I haven't seen it, but I really would like to see it, just because it was a limited release, so I didn't really.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to see it. But I guess since now we're talking about movies that we haven't seen, 2 movies that just recently came out that I would really love to see are The Theory of Everything.
Me too.
The Story of Jane and Stephen Hawking, and The Imitation Game, Alan Turing and the Enigma Code.
Right.
So I would love to see both of those because, especially The Imitation Game, Benedict Cumberbatch is in that. Keira Knightley's in that. And
it's not like, oh, I want to see this movie because Benedict Cumberbatch is in it.
No, it's
what he's going to be in because it's such a deep, intellectual, personal story.
Well, it really is. I was actually listening to Elliot in the morning the other day. I think it was two weeks ago. The guy who plays Bronson, is it Bronson? On Downton Abbey.
Oh boy.
Oh my god, it's been so long since I've watched Downton Abbey. I have all the seasons, but I have all of the seasons, but I don't just sit there.
Main guy?
No, that's Hugh Bonneville.
Okay, well then you would know him.
Oh hell yeah, I would, because Hugh Bonneville is one of the loves of my life. Although I hope Matt doesn't hear that.
Matt.
Oh no. I'm not even kidding. Matt saw Hugh Bonneville on the Graham Norton show one time, and he was like, "Oh, there's your boyfriend." I'm like, "Goddamn right, that's my boyfriend."
That's your boyfriend from Downton Abbey.
That's my boyfriend from Downton Abbey. No, oh my god, I'm not finding it. But anyways, so the entire movie is about Alan Turing and his group of friends or coworkers who are working together to crack the Enigma code. The Enigma code being the communication device that the Germans used during World War II in order to communicate with one another. Branson, the chauffeur, is played by Alan Leach. I knew it was something. Okay. Alan Leach, who plays Branson in Downton Abbey. So if you watch Downton Abbey, you'll notice Branson's in there.
Okay.
So basically, Alan Turing thought, what if I make a machine that can think quicker than the Enigma? So, from what I understood, because Alan Leach was actually doing this interview on Elliot in the Morning, and that's why I thought it was really interesting. I think that's what he was trying to get across. Now, I'm not actually sure. I have the book on my Kindle. I haven't read it yet, and I want to read the book before I watch the movie. So we will see how that goes.
Tune in next week.
Yeah, tune in like 10 years from now. After all the other books that I have to read.
Right, right.
But from what I understood, I think Alan Turing actually took a machine and tried to create a machine that could be quicker than the Enigma code. Okay. So a lot of the technology that they were using in order to crack the Enigma code is actually stuff that we use every single day, just much more modernized. In our computing systems and, calculation systems. So a lot of the invention that he created here was so interesting, and I just find it very fascinating. The Enigma code was one of the main reasons why we couldn't get ahead of the Germans during World War II. And when the Enigma code broke, when we actually could read their messages, they had no idea that we could read it. And the problem was, these people, they never slept because every day the code would change.
Oh, wow.
Every day the code would change. So by the time they cracked the one, the Germans were already on to another. So they were trying to create a machine to get ahead of them. And I think that that's an incredibly brave story, to think that you're dedicating all of this time and all of this energy to basically saving the world, because they have no idea how many lives that they saved just by breaking one code. Just by breaking one code, how many lives they saved. Just
a portion of information bundled into what we call a code, and it is our life at stake, or
exactly.
Our life in the balance.
Exactly. And I just find that very fascinating. But the theory of everything, I just think Stephen Hawking's life is
incredible.
Incredible. To just be that intelligent and to have so many things stacked against you. This degenerative disease that he has, but he hasn't let it break him at all. And he's still written papers and thesis and...
Well, if for those who are unclear, the degenerative disease is all the reason why you were dumping ice buckets on your head.
ALS.
ALS, and that's the reason why, and that's what Stephen Hawking is going through. So it's a pretty nasty and horrible disease, from my understanding, and you get it when you when you're first born, and for however long you live with it, it's a part of you.
It is. But to think that someone who is so physically limited,
he changed,
has so much mental capacity, like, the things that he can envision and figure out in his brain is so limitless. And to think that someone who physically, because of his illness, is so limited, because he cannot walk, he's in a moving chair, he really can't even speak. He speaks electronically through a keyboard, text to speech software. To think that even though he's so physically limited, that his mental capacity is limitless, I think that's just a testament to the human spirit. To think that he's not going to let something like ALS let him stop what he's doing.
Stop what he's doing, absolutely.
I just think that's wonderful, and I think that any woman who can see past these physical limits is brave in itself, because even though Stephen Hawking is an absolute genius, because he truly is, I think it's very brave in a society where we praise people on their looks and their ability to do things, to see someone for their mental capacity instead of their physical capacity is very brave, and I think that's very selfless. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a beautiful story, and I think from what I understand, it's a very well done piece of work, and I'm really interested to see how they put it together.
Yeah, and Jeremy Johns did a review on it.
I watched that. I watched his review on it. And
I actually really liked what he had to say, where he's like, you usually have one actor who can't really go through the motions. They have to stop or do something, They're like, no, this actor went through all the motions, sometimes all at once, mm-hmm. and he pulled it off really well. And that's the stuff I like to hear, because that really depicts something very, very powerful.
Well, from what I understand, The Theory of Everything has been nominated for 4 Golden Globes, including Best Actor for Eddie Redmayne.
Who was in Les Miserables? Not one of my favorite movies. Not one of my favorite characters either.
But, Les Miserables was never really meant to be made into a movie. Right. It's meant to be a play, and that's really where, even though it's I love the musical, even though it's very depressing material.
Oh, very.
Very depressing material. Very depressing material. It's much more easily grasped, and I think it's much better played out on a stage than it is in a movie. However, I do appreciate the fact that they tried to bring it to the big screen to get more people interested in it. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. It just didn't hit the mark that it needed to. But Eddie Redmayne is nominated for Best Actor, and I believe Felicity Jones, who plays Jane mm-hmm. Hawking, is nominated for Best Actress. And I believe The Imitation Game is also nominated for 4 or 5 Golden Globes.
God, why can't there be more than one winner for these things?
I know, but we will
I haven't even seen the movie. That's kind of bad for me to say, but honestly, with things that people put their all into.
But when you see so many talented people putting themselves out there in these films that 10 years ago wouldn't have been made.
Right.
10 years ago, these movies wouldn't have been made. But anywho, I'm very interested to see how they put this together. Another movie that I'm really interested to see, even though I don't know if I'm going to like it, is Wild.
Oh,
with Reese Witherspoon.
With Reese Witherspoon. I only saw it on the trailer and on TV as a TV spot.
I saw the trailer. That's a very raw performance.
Coming from her, yeah.
Coming from her. I mean, coming from Miss Legally Blonde herself.
Or Sweet Home Alabama.
Oh, yeah. Honey, just because I talk slow, don't mean I am slow. But I do...
Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Brown!
I'm very interested to see that. I don't know if I'll necessarily like the film, because I don't like a lot.
You never know.
That's true. Typically, I don't like movies where there's a lot of internal struggle going on.
Because it's I'm doing that myself. Be quiet.
Yeah, I don't need more of your internal struggle. I need to figure out my own. But I do think that she's giving a very raw performance. I feel it's very genuine, so I'm interested to see how it turns out.
Absolutely. I think my last movie on the list is something I did see, and it pleasantly surprised me, was Gone Girl.
I didn't see it, but again, I'm also the kind of person, I need to read the book before I see the movie.
Okay.
So most of these, I'm like, I need to read the book before I see the movie.
And which really makes for I don't mean this in the wrong way, but it's a very one-sided conversation, because I saw the movie, I have no way of saying, oh, it's nothing like the book, but from what I've heard...
It's very spot on.
Very spot on, if not added on more.
Yeah, I mean, from what I ever understand, David Fincher really stuck to the material, and I appreciate that. And that's what I hear.
He's a attention to detail, a big stickler about this stuff. I hear that he does 7 takes. Even if the scene went really well, he's like, okay, let's do it again. I'm pretty sure he just wants to make sure that he's got all his bases covered. And
I will have no complaint about that. I've never had a complaint about that. I'm very excited to see Rosamund Pike in something where she's front and center.
Right.
I mean,
she knocks it out of the ballpark.
That's what I hear. Because
she does so good.
She was great in Jack Reacher. She was great in Pride and Prejudice.
Yes, Jack Reacher. I love that movie. It is actually probably last year's most underrated film. Not everyone was talking about it.
It didn't even have that much of a story, though. That's what's interesting. It was just kind of fun.
It's fun. It's a good mystery.
It's just entertaining. I didn't even think it was that much of a mystery. I did. Well, that's me personally. But again, we're two different people, and we see things differently.
Yes. This is why we butt heads sometimes.
That's true. To me, I didn't really see much of a mystery. It was just kind of like Tom Cruise running around beating the crap out of people and driving fast cars, and I don't have a problem with that. No. I don't have a problem with that at all. And then it was like, where does Rosamund Pike come in? Oh yeah, it doesn't matter because she's pretty. And she's smart.
Right. Well, I thought she was pretty smart in Jack Reacher. But with Gone Girl, you see that performance grow over time.
That's what I've heard.
And at first it's like, oh yeah, I'm saying she knocks it out of the ballpark. You go and you pop this movie in when it comes out on DVD and you're watching it and you're like, where's she going to knock it out of the ballpark? She's just kind of a side character right now. What the hell? What are you talking about, Doug? What are you talking about? You're an idiot. But, and instead you watch this movie grow and grow. Suddenly, they hit you, and it's like, oh.
So that's what you were talking about. Got
it. Said, done deal. I'm in for the long haul because I swear to you, the moment they hit me with that twist in that movie, yes, there's a twist. What a twist. The biggest thing I could say to myself was, God, I hope this movie's not over yet. Oh my God, give me this movie like I'm watching it in the theater right now. I want it in my pocket by the time I walk out. Is that okay? But it was so well made. As I said, I don't like giving that kind of feedback, but I enjoyed it. It was such a deep, interlocking, just, Okay. Doug has now reached the point where he can't even use words.
He's in a glass case of emotion.
And then, of course, when it ended... Oh! What? Why?
Stab in the heart.
Where? Yeah. It's one of those movies, and I don't like hyping things up anymore, but that's one movie I say that I'm accidentally hyping. So...
Sorry.
I think we reached the point where it's time to end. We're yawning, so too, yeah. We're checking our phones, we're just making sure that everything's in tip-top shape.
I'm not even gonna lie, I keep looking at IMDb and I'm like, is there something I missed? No, I didn't miss anything. Okay.
Right. Well, Gone Girl, let me just say this really quick. Gone Girl is it's about more than just, someone went missing and let's point the finger at this guy, because he's the closest there is. It was about so much more. Mm-hmm. And, because to explain it would give away too much, but to not would be doing it injustice, because of course there is so much more going on underneath the level of what the trailers gave you and what people tell you.
But I think it's suffice to say, because we don't want to give away everything, especially since I haven't seen it.
Yes.
I think suffice to say, go see it and make your own opinion about it.
Absolutely. Take my word for it that it's good, but don't listen to anything else, so to speak. And I'm stabbing myself in the foot for that, but it's true. I may love all these little moments, but it may gloss over for you.
Right.
It'd be like, I just saw a chick in a bikini. That was it. Mm-hmm. And that's not even in the movie, but you just see what I'm talking about.
I totally get what you're saying.
Absolutely. So, I just feel like sometimes all I'm doing is waving my arms about, going, "Oh, it's a great movie! Oh my God, it's so much fun!" And I don't really talk about the core material of it. So that's why I feel like I have to justify that. But other than that, that's how I feel.
I totally understand.
So, I'd say this really was a very great topic to talk about, all these movies for Christmas. I know I'll probably be getting them after, over time. They'll be a part of my collection, especially some of them that haven't been even released yet. Mm-hmm. But definitely, the movies that I have mentioned, the movies that you have mentioned, yours are definitely worth checking out because I'm always such a curious sort. Anyway.
And I'm definitely going to check out the ones that you've mentioned, not because I really did want to see them. A lot of them are actually based on books, so I really am a stickler for trying to read the book before I see the movie.
One thing at a time, sweetheart.
One thing at a time. So I'll get there, but I'm definitely going to watch Fury. Mm-hmm. I might even watch it when I get home. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I might start reading Gone Girl when I get home because I have it on my Kindle.
What book are you reading right now?
Right now, I am actually I am reading How to Talk to a Liberal If You Must by Ann Coulter.
Do me a favor, and I mean this because I know nothing about this book or Gone Girl.
Yes.
Finish that book. Just finish it. You know, I am a big person on completing what you start. So when
I'll finish it. I love Ann Coulter. I love everything she's ever written.
Right. So just finish that book, and then go to whichever book you desire. You know, because
I'm the kind of person I can read 5 books at a time. I read many books at a time.
Sure. I just okay, all right. But it's just kind of one of those things for me. It's just. Take your time.
One thing at a time.
One thing at a time. Don't worry about rushing to just because I said something. Go.
Well, I think that's I think that this is a good point for us to kind of wrap it up for tonight.
Yes, absolutely.
If we keep at this any longer, I'm going to pass out from exhaustion.
And I think so will the people because this is the longest podcast yet.
Yeah.
It's for the next hour and a half, you will be listening to us jabber on about movies that we want and a few that have already come out and that we didn't really want. Yeah. And then music! And, Alrighty, well, this has been fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we will definitely be
doing another one next week. But next week is Christmas, so it might be the week after. It just depends on...
2-week delay.
Yeah,
2-week delay, something like that.
It'll depend on how schedules go, but it definitely won't be released next week. It'll be the week after. So
it takes Doug a while to make these things happen.
This is the mid-season finale.
So, with that said, that's our final thoughts on everything that we have talked about.
Mid-season finale, we'll be back in 2 or so weeks. Or so. We might need to take a vacay, but...
Vacay, indeed. But, we're never going to run out of things to talk about.
Nope.
It's only just a matter of figuring out what to talk about.
Yep. But thank you for joining us on AfternoonTeaV, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye for now.
Take care, guys.